Okay, this is your test 4.1 review for your test tomorrow on the 23rd over direct variation, systems of equations, functions, and surface area. So let's go ahead and get started with number 1. Graph the equations y equals 3x plus 1 and y equals 2x plus 3 on the coordinate plane and find the solution to this system. So we're going to start with y equals 3x plus 1 and graph that on our coordinate plane. Your slope is 3 and your y-intercept is 1. So the y-intercept is where you start. You're just going to put a dot at 1. And then the slope of 3 is rise over run. So rise 3, so we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, and run 1. That's your next point. And from there, slope is continuous, so rise 3 again, run 1. That's your first line. We're going to graph our second line. Y equals 2x plus 3. Here, my slope is 2, and my y-intercept is 3. So again, start at your y-intercept. We're going to put a dot right at 3. A slope of 2, we're going to rise 2 and run to the right 1. So from your y-intercept, up 2, run 1. From that point, up 2, run 1. And so there's your second line. When it says find the solution to the system, you're looking for the point where the two lines cross. Well, right here, both of our lines cross at that point. They both went through 2, 7. So the coordinate of that point is 2, 7. So your solution to this system is the point 2, 7. Number 2. After how many hours will it take for both boys to earn the same amount? So we're looking at the two lines for Billy and Johnny, and we want them to earn the same amount. So we know if we look at where the two lines cross, that's where the two lines have the same value. So we're looking for hours. So at that dot, that is 4 hours. So your answer is just 4 hours. Numbers 3, 4, and 5. Determine if each is a function and explain your answer. So for a mapping diagram, remember your x's are on the left and your y's are on the right. To tell if it's a function, you're going to look at your x values. And if it's a function, each of your x's will be used one time. So here, -1 has 1 arrow, so that's used once. 0 has 1 arrow, so that's used once. 1 has 1 arrow, that's used once. And 2 has 1 arrow, so that is also used once. Because each of our x values is used once, this is a function. Number 4, we have a graph of a circle. So to tell if a graph is a function, we use the vertical line test, which means you draw a vertical line anywhere on your graph to see how many times it crosses. Here, my vertical line crosses the graph twice, right here and right here. Because it crosses twice, this is not a function. Number 5. Again, you're looking at your x's. So this column right here, you want to make sure each of your x values is different. So we have -2, 0, and 2. All of those are different. So this is a function. Number 6, for each situation, write an equation and say if it's proportional or not. Identify the slope and y-intercept. So Sam gets $15 a week for his allowance. So $15 a week, that's our slope. So y equals 15x. Because we're not adding anything, this is proportional. Letter B. Sarah works on commission. She makes $60 a week plus 7% of her total sales. So we're going to look at 1 week. Okay? We're only going to look at 1 week and how much she would earn. So she starts by making $60. That's how much she gets for the week. And then 7% of her total sales turns 7% into a decimal, so 0.07 times X, and then add the 60 she makes for the week. Because we have a y-intercept of 60, this is non-proportional. Letter C. Kiko works at a local restaurant as a hostess. She makes $7 an hour. So there's your rate. So your equation is y equals 7x. This is direct variation, so it's proportional. Letter D. Jordy makes $2 per candy bar. Just like about $2 per candy bar, y equals 2x. Again, direct variation. So this is also proportional. Number 7. In physical science class, Ernie discovered that a 4-pound weight stretched a coil spring 14.2 inches, and an 8-pound weight stretched the same spring 28.4 inches. Based on these two observations, he determined that the spring's amount of stretch varies directly with the amount of weight applied. So varies directly means it's direct variation, so it's going to be proportional. So how much does the spring stretch per pound? So we're going to find out how much the spring stretches per pound of weight applied to it. So we're going to take the number of inches and divide it by the number of pounds. So 14.2 divided by 4 is 3.55 inches. We can check that using 28.4 and 8. 28.4 divided by 8 also simplifies to 3.55. So for every 1 pound you add, the spring will stretch 3.55 inches. So to write an equation to show the direct variation, we're going to take this value we just found. That's your slope. So y equals 3.55x. Where y is your number of inches and x is the pounds. So on letter C, what is the weight in pounds that will stretch the same coil 106.5 inches? So inches, that's y. We're going to substitute 106.5 in for y to find out how many pounds that would be. So to solve for x, we divide by 3.55. And we're left with 30. So it would take 30 pounds to stretch the spring 106.5 inches. Number 8. Same type of problem, only now we're talking about centimeters and miles and what those represent on a map. So a certain Texas map uses the scale 2 centimeters equals 15 miles. So letter A, if x equals the number of centimeters and y equals the number of miles, so you just told us our variables, write an equation that can be used to determine k, the number of miles per centimeter. So k is the same as your slope. So we're going to think of that as n. We need to find out how many miles per 1 centimeter. So we're going to take 15 miles and divide it by 2 centimeters, which is 7.5 miles for 1 centimeter. So 7.5 over 1, that's my slope. So my equation is y equals 7.5x. Letter B. If the distance on our map, on the Texas map from San Marcos to Austin is 3.8 centimeters long, what is the actual distance between the two cities? So they gave us the measurement in centimeters, so that's going to be x. So take your equation, and you're going to substitute 3.8 in for x. Multiply those together, and you're going to get 28.5. So if the distance shows 3.8 centimeters, that's actually 28.5 miles. Letter C, this time they gave us 100 miles. So because they gave us miles, we're going to substitute 100 in for y and solve for the number of centimeters, x. So divide by 7.5. X equals 13.3 centimeters. Number 9. Determine if it's a function and explain your answer. So again, we're looking at our x values. So here we have 2, 4, 3, and 1. Because all of our x values are different, this is a function. Number 10. We have another graph, so we're going to use the vertical line test. So draw your vertical line. It doesn't matter which point you draw it through. It's still only going to touch your graph at one point. So this is also a function. Number 11, we have a mapping diagram. So you're going to look at your x's and see how many arrows they have. So your first x value of 1 has 1 arrow. Your second x value of 5 has 1 arrow. And your last x value of 6 here, this has 2 arrows. So because 6 has 2 arrows, that means it's repeated. So number 11 is not a function. Number 12. Which value causes the relation of the list of ordered pairs to not be a function? So we know this isn't a function. We're going to look at our x values. It says which one causes them to not be a function. So you're looking for the x value that's been repeated. So in this case, we have -5 twice. So -5 is the x value that makes it not a function. Number 13. Which table shows y as a function of x? That's a fancy way of saying which of these tables is a function. So look at your x's. So here we have -3, 1, -3. Because this -3 is repeated twice, not a function. Letter B. All of my x's are 2's, not a function. Letter C. We have -5, 3, -5, not a function. Letter D, we have 6, -6, 8, and -8. All of my x values are different, so letter D is a function. Number 14, graph a second line that would make a system with a solution of -12, 16. So if I want my solution to be -12, 16, that means both lines have to go through that point. So all you need to do here is draw a second line that would go through that point with the first line. It doesn't matter what type of line you draw as long as they're all going through that same point, -12, 16. Number 15. Kelly is knitting a blanket. In 3 hours, she is able to knit 18 complete rows. Assume that she knits the same number of rows per hour. Write an equation that represents the relationship between the number of hours she knits x and the number of rows she knits y. So we know in 3 hours, she does 18 complete rows. So we want to know how many rows is that for 1 hour. 18 divided by 3 is 6. So 6 rows in 1 hour. So my equation would be y equals 6x. Number 16, which of the following situations represent direct variation? So a farm stand, each pound of cherries costs $3.75. So that equation would be y equals 3.75x. This is proportional, which means it's direct variation. John is 3 inches taller than his friend Pam. So 3 inches taller is just going to be y equals x plus 3. So his friend Pam's height plus 3. That's non-proportional, so it's not direct variation. Letter C. For every 5 minutes you bicycle, you burn 45 calories. So 45 divided by 5 is 9. Your equation is y equals 9x. Proportional, so it's direct variation. And letter D. The circumference of a circle is about 6 times the length of its radius. So y would equal about 6 times x, or you could use r to represent radius. Either way, this is proportional, so this one is also direct variation. Number 17. Which graph shows a system of equations with a solution of 3, 2? So you're looking for the pair of graphs to cross right at this point. So A is at negative 3, 2, so that's not quite right. B, right 3 up 2. Letter B crosses there. Letter C, they do not cross at 3, 2. And letter D is negative 3, negative 2. So it's also not letter D. 18. Find the lateral and total surface area of each figure. So we're going to start with letter A. Start by highlighting the base. This is a cube or rectangular prism. Once you know what the base is, you need to find the perimeter of that base. So perimeter, you add up all the sides. So we do 14, 14, plus 14, plus 14. Or you could do 14 times 4. Either way, perimeter of the base is 56. You need to find the area of the base. Remember, capital B stands for area of the base. So we're going to find the area of this square here. So we're going to do 14 times 14, which is 196. Then you also need the height of the prism, which is the distance between the top and the bottom. So here, your height is 14. Once you have found all 3 of these variables, you just have to substitute those values into your formula. So lateral surface area is S equals PH. So P, we said was 56. The height of the prism is 14. So multiply those together and you get 784 inches squared. For total, your formula S equals PH plus 2B. Again, just fill in the variables you've already found. 56, your height is 14, 2, and then we said the area of the base was 196. Type that all in, you get 1,176 inches squared. So that's letter A. Next we have the cylinder. So cylinder is a little bit different. We're going to start by finding the area of the base. You need to identify your radius and your height. Remember, radius is only halfway, so we're going to take 4.8 divided by 2, and you're going to get 2.4 for your radius, and my height is 14. So my formula for a cylinder so your lateral surface area is 2 pi pi RH. So the 2 stays. Pi, you use 3.14. The radius is 2.4, and the height is 14. Multiply all that together, and you get 211.01 meters squared. For your total surface area, 2 pi RH plus 2 pi R squared. So again, fill in your radius and height. So 2 times 3.14 times 2.4 times the height, which is 14, plus 2 times 3.14 times 2.4 squared. You get 247.18 meters squared. I did round that to the nearest hundred. That's your lateral and total surface area for a cylinder. And lastly, we have the total and lateral surface area of a triangular prism. Remember, if you see a triangle anywhere on it, that's your base. So we're going to start by identifying our variables, P, capital B, so area of the base, and the height of the prism. So perimeter, we're going to add 41, 41, and 18. The triangle has 3 sides, so we add up 3 different measurements. So the perimeter of the base is 100. Area of the base, so we're just looking at the triangle here, is base times height divided by 2. So 18 times 40, because 40 is the height of my triangle, divided by 2 is 360. And then H here stands for the height of the prism, which is the distance between the 2 bases. So here, my height is 52. And then we're going to plug those into our formulas. So lateral, S equals PH, which is 100 times 52, which is 5,200 inches squared. And then for the total, it's the same formula that we used for the rectangular prism, PH plus 2B. So P we said was 100, the height is 52, plus 2 times the area of the base, we said was 360. Type that all in, and you get 5,920 inches squared from total surface area. All right, that's your review. Make sure you have this ready to turn in tomorrow before your test. We will see you tomorrow.